Hey everyone, I just wanted to give an update on what I got going on here. As you can see, I have the engine in the car now, and this is the LZ9 V6 engine. I went ahead and installed this, and you can see that it's pretty much fully assembled. I still have to put the intake on it and the fuel injection, but I was going to go over that in a minute here about what I had to do in order to get that to work. And you can also see here that I got the turbo installed. I ended up using the factory rear manifold here and crossover, as well as the rear factory manifold, and I just installed a 2-inch up pipe here for the turbo. Here you can see where I mounted my wastegate. That's a tile 38, and I haven't really figured out if I'm going to run an intercooler or not, but this is kind of how I have it mocked up for now. Okay, it's kind of hidden here, so it's hard to see, but down in this area, there's about 20 thousandths clearance between the exhaust manifold and the factory alternator, but it does clear just fine. I expect to burn up the alternator, but who knows? Maybe it'll be just fine. For my cooling system, I built this tank here, and I installed a couple of 12AN fittings to the heads themselves, here and here, and I have 12 AN lines running up to this coolant tank here, which is connected to the radiator, and then this line here is connected to the heater core. And here is another view of it from the other side. This kind of takes the place of the thermostat, but it also acts as a fill point for the engine. Here is the lower intake manifold. I painted it. Not a very good job, but I just wanted to clean it up a little bit. I ended up gasket matching these ports here to the upper manifold. Here is my fuel rail. I had to make a couple of small modifications to the fuel rail. As you can see here, the factory line, actually this line on the factory fuel rail comes down and then works its way back up, and the input is up here on top. I cut that section off and I installed this fitting here. It's a compression fitting, 6AN compression fitting, and that's going to feed my fuel rail. And I had to end up getting larger in fuel injectors since I'm going turbo. I ended up getting LS3 injectors, and the LS3 injectors are smaller, or shorter I should say, than the factory injectors. I then had to buy these 14 millimeter spacers. I believe I got them from Michigan Motorsports. You can find them online. And then I have to use the LS3 fuel injector clips to hold the injector to the spacer. And then there is no factory clip that fits the spacer to this factory portion of the fuel rail. Now I have already gone ahead and test fit this fuel rail and everything on this fuel rail with these fuel injectors, with these 14 millimeter spacers. Everything clears the intake manifold perfectly. So if that's something that you want to do, kind of follow that platform, you can go ahead and do it. It works out great. Here is my upper plenum. I had to make a couple modifications. Well, I didn't have to make a couple of modifications. I chose to make a couple of modifications to this. On the car, the intake faces the driver's side, facing this way, and this port here on the factory intake manifold feeds vacuum for the brake booster, and I did not want mine located in this location here because I didn't want to have a vacuum line running over the top of the intake manifold. It just doesn't look as clean. What I ended up doing is I drilled and tapped this location here, and this here on a factory setup runs a vacuum line from here to a line that runs to the valve cover. I guess it's some sort of PCV style type vacuum assembly. What I went ahead and did is I drilled and tapped this a 3/8 NPT tap, and then I threaded in this 90-degree vacuum block here, and that will go ahead and now feed vacuum to the brake booster. Instead of taking it from here and having the vacuum line run over the top or around or whatever, have this long vacuum line, I went ahead and I fed it from here. The second modification I had to make was this port here. This port is the factory location for the map sensor, and I went ahead and I drilled and tapped that for a 3/8 NPT as well, installed a plug just like I did here. And this port here ends up fitting the map sensor perfectly, and I made a little bracket which is not seen here, but the map sensor pushes down into that port. And this port originally was for emissions control systems, which I'm not going to be using, but the map sensor fits perfectly in there. I can push it down into that hole. I have a little bracket that fits over the top, and then it just screws down and tightens in there. So now my map sensor is going to be in that location. I'm using a 75mm throttle body adapter for an LS1 truck engine. I don't think these are available anymore. I might have some copied, duplicated, since the original guy no longer makes them, but I probably won't. You know, this is a one-off application. I don't really care to make parts and sell them and make money. But those are the modifications I had to make for the upper intake manifold, and they're pretty simple, but you don't have to do this if you're installing an LZ9. I just wanted to do it to make things look a little bit cleaner, clean up the top of the engine so you don't have wires and everything running anywhere, especially with the map sensor here. There'd be wires running over this side. I want to try to keep everything on the back side of the engine. Just makes everything look cleaner. So that's it, guys. Just a quick update. I wanted to fill you in on what I got going on here. Progress is coming along. We're getting there slowly but surely, and I want to try to make this one of the cleanest installs I possibly can, to kind of show what's possible if you just take your time, spend a little money, plan it out, what you can do with this engine. It's almost a direct bolt-in. It's very simple. So that's it, guys, for now. Stay tuned for more videos. I'll have updates coming in the future. Thank you.